I want to hear what they got to think. I mean, right? Okay. Here we go. Let's start.
Hello. I
Hi.
just have one question about the AA meetings in the film. And first of all, the story that you tell in the beginning of the film. Is there any true in that story in, I don't know, in Abel's writing or in your perspective?
What do you think?
I don't know.
No, what do you think?
I thought it was kind of realistic.
And
does
it matter?
I felt you felt that really. So
No. Abel?
No, go ahead. I mean,
No, I just want to know what he thought, and does it matter? And of course does it matter whether it's true or not? But if you felt something, that's good.
okay.
I felt something too. So where the story came from doesn't really matter so much. I mean, obviously, if you know anything about the broad strokes of Abel's life and where we're filming it and how we're filming it, yeah, there's some details that come from his experience, but there's also lots of fiction, and it goes in and out. It's a movie.
yeah.
So I really enjoyed the movie. I thought it was very truthful and very honest one, even on the, we can say, the erotic things. As a man, I can say that I didn't felt like I was in sometimes raped or in the idea. So I just want to say thank you very much, because it was a really honest movie about something that we can think on today, but about relations and also how we can deal with those. And it's like in the end scene, when there's the dancing, you want to be an American, but you were born in Italy. So it's like, for me, it was a version of the 21st century of an American in Rome. A good story, and nothing more than that.
Thank you.
And very interesting. So.
How much of the method that's used in there, I don't know if it's the method of the actor studio method, it looks like there's people using their memories and their personal background to use emotion rather than to act, right? How much of that is in the characters and in your method of acting, and maybe your method of directing, if you use that a lot? I mean, it seems to me that you used something that looks like the method from the actor studio, where you use your personal experience. Okay, well, how much of your method is
I think you
there?
can't help but use your personal experience, but I come from a tradition where an actor does things. It's a task orientation. It doesn't have to do with memory or association. You want to, in fact, escape your life, but you're conditioned by what you've been through in your life, and you'll work from that. But no, I've never been trained in the method, and when I hear people talk about aspects of what they call the method, which is only a tiny sliver of what Stanislavski talked about, I approach things more.
You don't relate to that?
More like a dancer.
A dancer?
Yeah, doing things, getting from here to there, and having an experience from going to A to B, and trying to be transparent in that experience, so the audience watching can be there with me experiencing it. But I'm not pointing to anything, and I'm not trying to illuminate my experience in my life, but that's what I'm working with, because it's the only thing I know. But at the same time, I want to escape my sense of who I am, or an identity, in order to entertain other thoughts, other habits, other perspectives. That's why I sometimes get disturbed when someone
but did you eventually use something? I don't know. Do you see anything from the method that your character uses to teach, from what you use to act?
Like in the teaching sequences? Yeah. That was kind of invented. I mean, I'm not a teacher, but I just made that stuff up just practically. But I thought it was very rooted to doing, not. It wasn't psychological. It was about variation. It was about copying. It was about observation. Okay.
Sorry, I would like to ask something not about the movie today, but I saw Miss 45 in a film festival in Brazil. I'm from Brazil, and it's just changed my life. Like
It changed your life
yes,
for
it
the
did.
better?
Yes, yes. I had the opportunity to see the movie in a film festival, and right now in Brazil we have the same film festival this year only happened mostly because of donations from the public. It's produced by Kleber Mendonça, also a film director, and apparently culture and human rights are the first things in danger in fascist governments. And I would like to ask you, what do you think people could do to resist and to preserve culture in those times?
Whoa. And how,
Sorry.
Yeah, I think the only answer, we have to keep going, doing what you feel and doing, and we have the chance of doing it with a great, liberty, and it's our example. What do you think the artist can do? Nothing. The artist can do what they always should do without giving any compromise. That's all. And I think that example, that's what we think. You cannot ask always, someone, I was talking with Wagner Moore and say, what you expect from an artist to do? They do what they have to do. That's all. And an example, it's the only thing you can do, nothing else. You're going there and shot Bolsonaro? Okay, it's another way. You just go and shot him. But do it, that's all, okay.
Given the whole meta aspect of this film, I can see, and the fact that Mr. Willem started on the Last Temptation of Christ,
right.
I can seem, it seems to me very evident there are many nods to that film throughout the scenes of this particular film. So I'm curious about your feelings towards that particular movie.
What, Last Temptation
Yes.
of Christ? Yeah, I like that movie.
All right.
I like that movie a lot, but I haven't seen it in such a long time, you know what I mean? So it's like a memory to me, that film. The book, I remember reading the book once when I was 19, and it totally changed my life. And then 25 years later, I read it again. I was like stranded in Mexico for 2 days at an airport because Jimmy Carter's plane was flying over, right? So I was stuck there for a day. And I read it again, I thought it really changed my life. Then when we were gonna do this scene where he takes his heart out, right? I got the book, now it's 25 years later, and I'm trying to find this scene. And now I'm reading the book, and now the book makes absolutely no fucking sense to me at all. Like, I'm reading this book, I don't know what I'm reading. I'm like really reading it, thinking, this book changed my life. I'm saying, this is like, I'm not buying any of this. I'm not getting the whole fucking thing. And I'm going through the book over and over, where's this fucking scene, man, Then this is like a Schrader scene. This scene is not in the book. This is from Marty and Schrader, So I had to read the book 3 times, one worse than the other, before we found that scene of, but I liked that scene. I liked him in it. I just liked the whole vibe of that movie. I remade that movie in a sense too, with, in a way we did Mary. We shot in, we shot in Jerusalem actually. Well, you guys shot where? North Africa, right?
Morocco.
Morocco. All right, well, it's North Africa. All right, so, yeah, I wanted to use those scenes, but right, you remember in the beginning we were thinking about just seeing if we can get them and putting them in there, you know. I guess, you know, in theory, Tommaso could have been an actor, but whatever, it's more fun doing them ourselves.
When I first started watching your movies, I was around 18, so it was quite a while ago.
Right.
And the thing that struck me about your movies was how keen you were representing contemporary and urban realities. And right now, I saw a really personal movie. I saw a man trying to be better or trying to improve himself. And I was wondering if, autobiographical or not, if this is a way of you trying to be a better man and trying to be a better director.
Thank you. Thank you. That was a good answer. No, that was a good answer. Now, let me think of the question. Yeah, I think you said it. You know, I mean, that's it. What do you think? You got anything to add to that? No. That was good.
It's more a question about the process. It's kind of connected with this. How did you went together through the working the script and through the shooting of the film? I mean, picking this approach of a biographical approach, and how did you, despite of your previous relationship, how did you went through? How did you improvise? How did you?
That's an actor question. Come on, how did you improvise that? I'm curious too. How did you do it?
You
man?
know, Abel had a scenario, had some scenes that he had in mind. We knew that we had a very small window to shoot these things. We knew we weren't going to do it conventionally as far as casting and all that. It was going to be a very homemade movie. We were going to make it in our neighborhood in Rome with people that weren't normally actors, but they were basically doing what they do. For example, like that homeless guy, that guy, you know, it was interesting. I had never met him. When I did that scene, I was meeting him for the first time. But Abel knew him because that scene, for example, really happened to Abel. But we're not working with the script. Abel's basically telling me the story, then we're enacting it. And there's a degree of having me hit certain parts of the story, but also then you're also open to whatever happens, because there's lots of uncertainty when you're not rehearsing, when you're dealing with uncontrolled, not controlled environments, and you're dealing with people that aren't normally making films. So it was quite exhilarating. Every day you never knew quite what was happening. We were really lucky with Peter Zeitlinger, who was a very fluid camera. He was able to go anywhere. We shot very loose. He's a guy that works a lot with Werner Herzog. Does that kind of give you an idea? I mean, every day you knew, it would be like he'd tell us a story. We'd have certain things in place, but then we'd shoot. And we didn't shoot, you can probably tell by seeing the movie, it's not like we shot conventionally with coverage. We were basically shooting just to capture what was happening. And we didn't repeat things or go to different angles necessarily, because we didn't have the facility to do that. Does that make sense to you?
To the filmmakers in the room?
No, to you,
Again?
man.
Oh, what, me? Oh, me. Oh, I'm asking.
I don't want to...
Yeah, no, that's pretty much, you know, I mean, you know, we've been making documentaries, and it's kind of a documentary style. We brought a DP who's like, you know, he shot a lot of things. He actually shot Bad Lieutenant, not mine, but someone else's. He was actually the DP of that, so you know we got over that. But he's a documentary. He's more than a documentary. He shoots documentary films, but he's a great cameraman. And you know, the relationship between Willem and the camera and the cameraman is really the key of you know, a lot of what this film is about. You know, some of these takes are going on 10, 15, 20 minutes, some even longer. You know, this subway ride that turns into the scene with Christina, you know, and the baby at the park. I mean, you know, so we were, yeah, I mean, it was kind of, because there was a few people in each scene, we weren't, I mean, I was standing there with my telephone because I was like not trusting the process. You know, I kept saying, we're gonna need another angle. So end up ruining the shot half the time because I'm standing there with a pink telephone. Somebody's pink iPhone 10. But in the end, we basically went with, you know, but Peter has you know, has the instinct for you know, locking into him, even though they didn't know each other. But, you know, and Willem has the instinct for the camera, you know, and when you have that going, you could do takes like this, you know, and you could capture what's going on in a different kind of way, so. And, you know, we shot 15 days, so it was like, right, it was 15.
13.
13. Who's, yeah, 2 days, who's gonna argue?
I would like to ask you, I understand it was a homemade film and you choose non-actors to do it, in spite of William is in there. But I would like
I try to be a non-actor.
Yes, yes.
That's the whole point.
Yeah.
Try to be a person.
I would like to ask you, why did you choose to film the parts on the metro? It was like some kind of documentary methods. I'm not from cinema, so I don't have the usual names for it.
Why did we shoot him on the subway?
Yes, the shoot on the subway.
How did he get home? How else did he get home?
Sorry?
He has to get home, right?
Yes.
Right.
I don't understand why.
He doesn't have a car.
No, I don't understand why it doesn't. You didn't film with actors, because sometimes I saw people looking at the camera, and
right.
It just broke my attention from, and it stopped from being a film to be like something more realistic, but at the same time with the actor, and it didn't make so much sense for me. Do you think you could?
Really? That one guy only one guy looked right into the camera. And I could have cut it out, but I like the way he just looked right, you walk right into the camera. It's like, he's not looking in the camera, he's looking that way, and the camera happened to be there, you know what I mean? It's like, okay, if the camera's here, you could look there, or there, or there. So he's not really looking into the camera.
I'm talking about the people on the subway.
I'm
not
talking about the guy you're talking about. I know every, you know. The
I'm
guy's
not talking
looking right
about-
into the camera. The guy's looking at the camera.
He knows what he's saying.
I know the
because-
guy you're talking about.
I'm not talking about a guy, but a bunch of people. But
A bunch, they were looking at him. They weren't looking at the camera. Really, they were looking at him.
No, that's, if you felt that, that's fair, and that's not so good. But I think one of the reasons we filmed that is you know, that's where we live, and that means something to us, and it means something to the world, and we're capturing part of that world. And I didn't notice lots of people. Yeah, it was funky sometimes, but that kind of imperfection sometimes comes into it when you're shooting this way, and to cut around it would have ruined the fluidity of shooting that long shot. Yeah, I see it too, and you wish it wouldn't happen, but you bring it on. You take, you know, we don't cut those little zits out of, you know, it.
Yeah, out of the movie. But no, I know what you mean. The wrong moment, the wrong time. Somebody, you know, it's one of these borderline deals. You know. Did it bother anybody else? Now I'm curious. Did anybody else like to throw you out of the movie?
Don't ask.
No, it happens to me sometimes. I get what you're saying sometimes. It was that one guy, the way he looked so defiantly into the game. Anyway.
I have no questions. I just want to thank you and share my humble opinion. I was very touched by the movie because it reminded me, I'm sorry to mention other directors, but they're masters, Tarkovsky's Sacrifice, and Otomezzo, and probably The Arrangement. And I was very touched, so thank you very much. And I have as casting director, I'm always very surprised by your acting because you run away from the archetype, which is something that is stuck on the actors. One actor is always the bad guy, the good guy, the humble guy, the poor, miserable guy, and you can do it dancing, because I had this question, and I realized that you are a dancer, and you dance from a role to another, which is kind of amazing, and you're able to do it without being Willem Dafoe. You're always Van Gogh, Tommaso. You're always the character you're playing, and you can run away from the actor you are. So thank you.
Thank you.
Yay.
Always difficult to be a couple, always difficult to be a father, always be all these. I think the film is about that, nothing else. How any one of us have to live in his life with these problems, with these things, to be two and one at the same time. And you know, it's something that what for me was the most impressive thing in your film. I think it was so incredible on that that's why I love this film, nothing else.
Thank you, Paulo. No, thank you. It means a lot coming from you.
Well, I'm just, since we're in a, row of thank yous, I'm gonna give a special thank you. I don't know, it's nice to hear Joe Delia's music again in an Abel Ferrara film, and I think that was, that added a nice touch, and I'm glad that, I saw an interview on YouTube that you gave about, some, fallout that you had with him, so it's just, it's nice to just, him being a part of your world again.
Yeah.
And so that was, thank you for bringing him back.
Thank him.
And I guess I don't want to die without giving a special shout out to you, because you were, this is very selfish of me, but you were in one of the most hated movies that I can think of. And I don't want you to take this the wrong way. It is, I don't mean it in an ironic way, but I do like Speed 2. And I do think you were, you do give Dennis Hopper a nice run for his money. And I think only Gene Siskel and Roger Ebert liked that movie. And I guess I'm the third person to like that movie. I don't know. So you were great in it.
Speed 2, we're going to show.
I was in India recently, and people would come up to me and say, Speed 2, Speed 2. So,
that's great.
One person's meat is another person's poison. You know what the problem with Speed 2 was? The boat was too slow.
Hi, it's nice to be talking to you.
Hey,
just wanted to say you're both fucking legends. I'm sorry for swearing. And I was wondering if in the one of the final shots of the movie where Tommaso is kind of having a breakdown in the middle of the streets, the reaction shots, were those extras, or were you actually capturing people passing by? Because I thought some of those reactions were actually pretty amazing, because people were like really confused and you were all crazy, and that was really nice. I really liked it.
Thank you. Is that a question? Does that question need to be answered, or was that? No, I saw like the questions that answer themselves. Yeah, they were. Were they reacting to Crazy Man screaming at his kid, or were they reacting to the crazy director screaming at his crew?
I don't agree totally with Paulo when he speaks about the film. It's about a couple and how difficult is a relationship and to live together and to have a baby. It's a big point. But what I felt, it was an incredible exposure of someone struggling against a very strong anguish, and that this was provoked by the situation, but also because he couldn't drink. He didn't want to drink. So it was incredible, this exposure, how much the person was struggling inside himself. And this is really special.
Thanks. Yeah, I mean, he's trying to find a balance in his life. I mean, he's you know, he's working his program. He's going to a program. He's doing his practice. He's, you know, he's making a conscious attempt at you know, finding a balance against, you know, infinity, like you say. And, you know, he's living in the real world. He's living in a world where people aren't practicing in the morning. People aren't meditating, and people aren't going to a program. And I don't know what program they're working, you know. And it is, you know, and he's got to come to terms with that. You know, he's existing on, you know, on Earth, and he's practically trying to make it work. You know, the teaching, you know, inside the rooms, you know, in the AA room is one thing. You know, when you're in your meditation, it's another thing. But then you're out in the world, and you know, you got to make that all work. You know, so I think that's what the film. You know, that's everybody's. That's Tommaso's trip, and that's our trip, and that's the end of the Q&A.
Yes.
That's the last A and the last Q. Right,
let's look for infinity outside.
Yeah.
Thank
December
you.
5th.
Thank you for coming. Huh?
It opens, but tell them it opens December 5th, so tell your friends. December 5th in Portugal, the world premiere of Tommaso.